Don't mind me. I'm just musing. Let me ask you this. Have you ever lost a material possession and you pine for it? Well, I do. I pined for something that was lost. And I've talked about it recently during the live stream, last live stream, talking about the book of Ezra from the Ethiopian Apocryphal Bible. And it's a book that was given to me when I was a little girl living in Havana, Cuba. I had Russian caregivers, and this book that they gave me was a children's book. It was in Russian, and it was an illuminated book. And the reason I remember it is that when I came across an illuminated book, that's when it triggered the memory for this book that I lost. And the book that I lost, it had the most beautiful, ornate illustrations. And the font, even though it was Russian language, beautiful fonts and gold leaf on the pages. And I just remember faintly castles and very, like I said, opulence, pure opulence, but children's book, a children's fairy tale book. And it was really large. I remember it being just big. And it made it back to America with me, which in itself was a miracle because of the way we left Cuba. My father and I, we left suddenly, and we were on a voyage on a ship, a cargo ship, and somehow this book made it back to America. The last thing I know, it was lost in my grandparents, always say my grandmother, but my grandparents' home in West Philadelphia. They had this spooky basement, and that's where the book was for some reason. That's what I was told. When I think about that now, like I said, it was an illuminated book, and I'm really curious about why was I gifted this illuminated book? What was the book exactly? I know it to be children's stories, but what about, I don't know, some deeper things? And the fact that it was lost makes me think now, because I'm putting a lot of things together. But you know, some people in your life will do things like maybe throw things away. I'm not accusing anybody in particular, but I'm starting to make some connections. And I just want to say that we have had people in our lives, you know, they could be family members, and they have a contempt for you, and they harbor it in secret. I think back to a family member who, anytime I've talked about things that I remember from my childhood, like your story, it's like they get angry and they say, get over it. You know, they're tired of hearing your story, maybe. But why are they tired of your story? What is it about you that brings this out in them? And that's what I'm starting to think about. I never came to this conclusion that this children's book, this Russian children's book, illuminated book, could have been intentional, that I don't have it anymore. And I pined for this book, maybe because it had a deeper meaning and message. After all, it was an illuminated book. And as I think about things that are resurrected, my trees that were cut down accidentally, that might have looked dead, coming back to life, that is also the message that I'm getting from the Most High Yah, is that a lot of things that have been lost or have died, it says the moth have eaten. These things will be restored to us. So that's the message I've been pondering, is that I'm pining for this book for a reason. And I guess this is the latest message to me, is that things will be restored, even little things like that. And people that may have done things to you and think that it was done in secret, all things will be revealed, including people that have been working against you in small ways. They've been trying to destiny swap with you, and they hold contempt for you because maybe you've gone through things, and they don't really have compassion. But it's okay, because the Most High Yah is compassionate to his children, his chosen remnant. So just continue to be resilient and have hope in the restoration and resurrection. That's all for today. Thank you for listening to my little take